Republican lawmakers love to tell us that our U.S. economy is in total shambles, and of course, all of this is President Biden's fault. He did it. He's responsible. He's the guy in charge. He's the reason you can't afford your pharmaceuticals, you can't afford your groceries, you can't afford gas, all because of this guy. Republicans want to make the economy the number one talking point for this year's election. And it's true, we do have millions upon millions of American workers telling us in a recent poll, 40% of them actually, saying they're living paycheck to paycheck. They can barely scrape by. But that's not Biden's fault. Because you see what's happening in both the House and Senate right now is Republicans are preparing a piece of legislation that would deny 4 million Americans a pay raise. Last summer, the U.S. Department of Labor, under the direction of President Biden, changed their overtime rules for American workers. Previously, those overtime rules had stated that if you make less than $35,568 per year, you're automatically entitled to overtime pay. But if you make $1 more than that, you don't get overtime pay. And they increased that number to $58,656 per year, so a $23,000 increase in that threshold, which means 4 million workers now falling in between that increased threshold were due to get a raise this summer because they would finally get paid overtime pay. So what's happened, according to HuffPost, GOP lawmakers have filed what's known as a, quote, resolution of disapproval under the Congressional Review Act, which, if passed and signed into law, would nullify the change from the Department of Labor. Republicans are actively fighting in Congress right now to not let you get a pay raise, folks. The same people telling us the economy's in shambles, it's a shame that people can't afford goods and services these days, are fighting to make sure that you don't get paid when you work overtime. They still want you to work overtime, don't get me wrong. They just don't want corporations to have to pay you for it. Now, the usual business interest groups, of course, have come out strongly against this law, and those, of course, are the people funding these Republican politicians fighting against this change. But this is beyond bonkers at this point. Republicans want you to make less money, because if your financial situation improves, and Biden's the one who did it, then suddenly they got a problem on their hands in this year's election. So they would rather send you into poverty than to let a Democrat get a political victory. They are actively voting to prevent you from getting a pay raise. And if that won't convince you to vote against Republicans who clearly hate American workers, then I don't know what will. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.